107. Opening the doors to endless possibilities. In the pursuit of love, peace, and happiness. With your host, Dr. Rafika.
Well, hello, Keys 107 family. Can you hear me? If you can, just raise your hand. If Cheryl's on the line, just call in and let me know you're here. I am your host, Rafika, and we have had some technical difficulty this day. Spending so much time getting everything together. You know how it goes with technology. We just got to bear with it. But anyway, let me get started. Greetings, Keys 107 community. It's been a while, and we've missed talking to you. It's so good to be back on this powerful platform. We can chop it up on Thursdays as we continue to open doors to endless possibilities in the pursuit of love, peace, and happiness. Now, you might notice that my co-host, Brother James, is not on the line, but I'm sure he's going to call in or he's somewhere around. We believe that focusing on the 7 keys of life, the mental key, the spiritual key, the physical key, the emotional key, the financial key, and the entertainment and the social key with an emphasis on the acts of kindness will help you find a peaceful balance in your life. Call in 515-602-9760. And this show is sponsored by the Fluffs, who recently shared with me that they are uber excited and listening on Cloud Cumulus. And our very special guest, Dr. Cheryl Morrow, also known as the Hair Oracle, who is a trichologist, a cosmetologist, an author, an educator, and entrepreneur. She's a podcaster and the daughter of legendary giant in the hair care industry, Dr. Willie Morrow. Now, we're going to chop it up. We're going to talk about some of this stuff, some of these myths about black hair care. We're going to talk about the oils and all of these elixirs they have out there telling you that it's going to make your hair grow if you're balding, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, without further ado, you know what I got to do? I got to take care of some business. The Fluffs would never forgive me. Hold on.
The Fluffs are a family of clouds up in the sky, keeping the earth, and so you will be alright. They'll teach you your ABCs and your A's, U's, and V's. Fluff are head to help you learn to read.
The Fluff Presents the Alphabet is available on Amazon.com and on Kindle. So get your copy today. For more information, go to www.thefluffamily.com.
Now back to the Keys 107.
Okay, so I took care of some business and we're back. Cheryl, you on the line?
Of course I am.
Oh, my goodness. You are so patient.
I know.
All right.
Anything for you. Anything for the Keys. Absolutely.
You know, we had to do something really quick today and just started the show with another link because something just crashed and everything shut down. So, you know, me being a techie person had to think on my feet. And I was like, I wasn't going to give up. This show had to happen, Cheryl.
We've been talking about it for a while.
Oh yeah. And we had several people calling to talk about the conversation. I was like, well, why don't you call in at 8:00?
No, I thought I heard somebody in the background.
You did. Everybody's mic is live because I'm not really sure whose number is right now. But anyway, let's get moving. So, Cheryl, we've been talking about this hair care thing for quite a while, and I know your background is so strong in it, but I really want to go into the first conversation piece. That is it a topical or is it internal? So if you're constantly buying hair care products to fix an issue that you're having, is it that you keep slapping this stuff on your head, or is it something that you need to be doing internally? Is it something that you're eating? Is it a nutrition problem? Is it genetic?
Well, if it's hair loss that we're talking about, it depends on the cause that determines a topical or something that you ingest. Does that make sense? Something that's an internal problem cannot be solved topically. And something that is topical and cosmetic cannot be solved internally, right? So, it's almost like if you ate something and then your immune system doesn't like it and then it shows up in hives or rash, it festered on, your skin, but you can't really fix it on your skin. You have to fix it and let the body return back to normal if you ate something that you're allergic to. So it's an internal issue. It's, of course, inflammation sometimes scars. Maybe you can use a topical to relieve what we call itching or some type of sensation, which is a side effect, something internal. But usually just random hair loss is usually systemic, and you have to reverse it that way. You can't use an oil or a grease or a cream or a moisturizer to offset those effects, if that makes sense. But the marketing machine, in the salon world, and I, because I'm from that world, we tend to allow the marketing to go haywire, and then people start believing in potions and things of that nature. And so, as long as and that is what the experts are there for. They're there to explain what I just explained. But sometimes they get marketed too as well. And so the messages get kind of confused. And it's unfortunate because we're all there for the public good. At least we're supposed to.
So how do you know? How do you know when it's internal or topical?
Well, then you have to go back to the cause. And that is what the consultation is for. Consultation is to weed out the symptoms, just like if you were to go to your primary physician. They reason why you're called, the reason for your call, and then you name your symptoms, and then they, by the symptoms, match it up with some of the potential causes. Then they tell you to come in. Then they take a look at it, see what stage it's in or whatever. Is it just starting? What other feelings are you having? And then they start matching up what they say it sounds like, but then we're going to take a blood test, right? And so what we do in the cosmetology, because we only deal with the external, we only deal with your, skin and what we can see, because we don't do blood tests, right? And so we should listen to the symptoms as well. And then we go and do a process of elimination, and then see if some shampooing will work, and maybe there's some pH adjustments that need to be there. But there's only a few things that we can do, and then that's why we partner with gynecologists and dermatologists, see if there's a fungus or bacteria, and things of that nature. But that's the process with which we should be doing these things. And when you get, a little more scholar, and then you start going into trichology and some other things, then you're supposed to, sharpen your skills. But that's how you know, just to answer your question.
So you mentioned going to the salon, the technician.
Right.
But now, we talked about this before, and I want to be very careful
yes, we have.
How I say this, because I'm not trying to out anyone. But in my personal experience, that conversation wouldn't happen. Like, if I went to them and said, listen, my hair is shedding, I need to figure out what it is. And they'll say things like, and I've experienced it, they said things like, well, you need to moisturize. You're not moisturizing enough. I'm like, but I moisturize.
Yeah. It happens. It happens. And, I work with a woman out of Ohio. Her name is LaDosha Wright. And we are in the middle of trying to and it's a slow chip away at and it's a juggernaut, believe me. It's a huge Huge problem. But it has not, it's unfortunately not just the cosmetologists themselves that's the issue. The issue is the curriculum. It is the process of higher education. It is some of the old beliefs that is built into the textbooks that they just does not make them current in their knowledge base and skill sets. And so it is a combination of things. And so I'm trying to, and even if it's hard for me, and I know where the roof is leaking, but, everybody's, for some reason, black people's hair is, everybody feels that they're an expert. Everybody feels, and to be honest, and they're making it up as they go. And I know that that's egregious, and it's really actually embarrassing. But to hold us to a higher standard, and then you're talking about the skills and how to extract information from a client. That is in, that should be just a basic skill of a cosmetologist, but it's not. It is premium, unfortunately.
So everybody who is listening online, if you was able to click the link, you can call in at 515-602-9760 and just weigh in on the conversation, ask your questions. Those of you who did call in, thank you for calling. Let me know you want to ask a question because Cheryl and I will talk this whole thing through. No problem, trust me. But let me know that you want to talk, you have a question, just raise your hand or hit the number 1 on your keypad. And that will indicate to me I am looking at the board and very excited to see how many callers we have in today. So, Cheryl, we do have callers who just listen. Some of them don't want to talk. But some of the things that came up, I posted it on Facebook, and I'm going to bounce over there for a minute and just sort of go from there. Some of the things that, and people were calling me and just having these conversations with me, and I was like, but we need to do that on the show. So... Is it okay to leave in the leave-in conditioner for a few days?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it just depends on how you want your hair to feel. But leave-in conditioner, there's actually really no such thing as leave-in conditioner. The hair doesn't know it's a leave-in conditioner. Conditioner is conditioner, unfortunately. And let me just say, when I state that, and I know that I speak from many hats, but the most important hat for me is a public advocate. And I wear the manufacturer hat, and I have peers. And it's not that I have any... my allegiance is to the consumer. The allegiance is to my clients and customers. Allegiance is to the public, first and foremost. And so answering that kind of question to make sure that the consumer, after they get off this call or whoever asks that question, to make sure that they understand that there is a world of chemistry and then a world of marketing. A world of marketing messages and sales messages. And so a leave-in conditioner should just be wonderful, humectants and, good moisturizing and lubricants and oils and things. So if you like your hair heavy or medium or whatever the case may be, and I'm a ponytail wearer, so, leave-in conditioner does not prohibit or allows me to keep my hair very neat basically all day. But if you're looking for lightness and fluffiness and, obviously you need to rinse out your leave-in conditioner before you blow dry. But if you're plaiting and twisting and doing twist-outs, it should be fine.
So there's no chemical difference between a conditioner and a leave-in conditioner. Is there just a marketing tactic?
No, most times it's a matter of consistency. Usually leave-in conditioners are more liquefied and they're lighter. They're not just as heavy. Basic conditioners or even professional conditioners, salon conditioners, they usually are meant to be placed in there for a buffer or 30 minutes to 15 minutes to 30 minutes, or whatever the case may be. The leave-in conditioners are usually made for home use, and the consistency is a little more liquefied than your professional conditioners. And then, of course, you have your ones who have more protein in it. It's just there for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then you rinse them out. But leave-in conditioners are designed to be a little watery, and so they wear better.
Okay. Again, there are so many callers on the line, and I don't know who wants to talk, but this is a good time if you have a question for Cheryl. Tune in and just speak. All of your mics are live, so you can just talk. It's okay. Or you can listen. That's fine, too. I mean, it's like however you want to do it today. We just going to rock with you because, when you have a...
I'm ready, folks. I'm ready. This is time to ask any craziness, and I realize that there's a lot to swallow, and there's a lot that the consumer has. Oh boy, a lot of information overload.
Information overload.
That. Yeah.
No, we have digital platforms where people are able to go on and sell products, and you have so many people on these platforms, and I don't know if it's because I may have clicked like on one of them, and therefore the algorithms just keep sending me more and more and more, and I'm like, this is getting out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
How much of the oils are research-based? Like when they say this is a growth oil, how much of it is research-based? So like they'll say use rosemary.
Well, one of the things that you have to understand is that the oil is not going to trickle down into your follicle and increase the cellular process. Oils don't do that. So there is not just a process of if the oil has been researched to have a indication for inducing growth. The issue is it how does the oil get down into the follicle and snap on hairs that are in the resting phase, snap those on, and then do they prevent hairs that are in their evacuation stage? Do they click a switch on and keep them inside of the follicle? And then a hair that is already in its androgenic stage and it's growing, does the oil, but the oil has no way to go inside because the follicles are an outgrowth mechanism. It doesn't receive anything inside of it. Does that make sense?
So the follicle can close, right? And that's what causes the hair to break off, and you have bald spots.
Right, but there's pores, and then there's follicles. Okay?
Okay, let's talk about that.
Right. Follicles already have something in their hole. So there's no way, you know what I mean? You have pores secrete. There's no way to get anything back in it. The sweat don't go back inside. It's a secretion. It's a pump. It pumps out.
Did you say the sweat don't go back inside?
Right. Well,
you want to clarify that?
Well, once your sweat comes out of your pore,
okay,
there's no mechanism to suck it back in.
Okay.
So that means that the body does not work like that. The skin is acidic in nature because it's a barrier. So it is designed to not let anything go in. If that was the case, you take a shower, you drown. So there's no way for that to happen. So there's no opening and closing. There's only an expansion and a contraction because you have capillaries and, you have neurons, and they tighten and then they expand. The expand is not really an open door. And the contraction is not a closed door. It's just expansion because skin stretches and pores get enlarged when they get heat. When you get cold, they contract. But the world keeps telling cosmetic, in the cosmetic sense of what I just said, we'll use open and close of pores. But it's only an expansion and a contraction. Make sense?
Yes. So does that lead to the hand contraptions or hand devices? I don't want to say contractions, but the hand devices that are out there have these teeth and these motors, and you can just put it on your scalp, and it's supposed to shake it up or stimulate root growth. Does that lead into what you're talking about?
Right. Well, the problem is that we have been told that, you have a root, which is a blood vessel attached to each follicle. If that were the case, then when you pull a hair out, you bleed, but you don't. And so I know the conventional education tells us that blood feeds the follicle, but I think the blood flow keeps the tissue healthy. It's not that you have a direct little blood root connected to each follicle. That is not scientific. That's cosmetic talk. So when you are massaging your scalp, you want to keep the tissue healthy that feeds the dermis, keep it healthy, keep the fat layer, the subcutaneous level healthy and vibrant and wet and viable around, the follicles, that the follicle sits in the dermis, keeping the surrounding tissue heavy. It's not the fact that you have a blood. And I know, unfortunately, anatomically, diagrams do not really kind of depict what's really going on. And I know you guys will probably say, well, what the hell, they draw them like that. Well, that's yet another thing we have to fix. Because the public keeps believing that, and then they keep buying. Their habits are based on the information that the industry is telling them, but then it's kind of a double-edged sword because now you have to retrain the industry to do things really, truly anatomically correct so they can understand that hair growth is cellular, not nutritional. Yeah. You know how you
so
put a seed
we have a question.
Water it. Yes.
That, and I'm not sure how to phrase it, but it's a little. So this person wants to know about where and when did the gauge of hair, black hair, 4C, and all those other, I don't know them all off the top of my head, but when did this start? Because I don't remember ever hearing about this when I was a little girl.
Well, let me just say this, and I'm going to give you a full answer. Maybe this will stop the myth, at least in the question. The person who answered, asked the question. Race, class. It started basically probably about 130 years ago. People needing to classify skin color. But the problem is that genes don't have a class. You know what I mean? We're all a human species. And I think the reason why Andre, I think forgot his last name, but Oprah's hairstylist, the reason why he took that to make texture a type was so you could personally gauge his product line and how to buy his product according to what your hair tend to look like. The problem is that one Afro curly hair is deemed to be fragile and rough just because it has more coils. Even though most African descending people, Africa is so diverse, you will have dark skin with straight hair and light skin African descending people with the curliest, toughest hair, as so to speak. So color does not dictate texture, but needing to define what product will do on each texture, now people they think that the definition of how many coils is on a strand from top to bottom is a good way to gauge the product usage. But to be clear, genes makes dominant things first. Chromosomes make dominant things first. It doesn't make recessive things first. So 4C would be 1A if we were talking about historical gene science and what nature does, because Afro-textured hair is dominant. It is the blueprint, so to speak. It is the master texture, it's the first texture. So every other subsequent texture comes from the dominant. And so 1A should be the curliest, coarsest texture. And then all of the other variants, they're not types, they're just variants. There's only actually one type, and that is Afro texture. And then the rest of them are variants. That's why they get looser, because they're a variant of the dominant queen bee. You know what I mean? And so, but the typing came out of what you should use according to what Andre meant. But it was not, in no uncertain terms, supposed to identify where you are on the spectrum of race, right? Did that answer her question or his question?
Necessarily, yeah, race before, yeah.
So I think somebody might be in their car and they may have to mute us. That's okay. I think the person dropped the call, Cheryl. But just to let everyone know that if you are a little shy and don't want to speak, you can always come into the chat room on blogtalkradio.com/thekeys107 or pop into you can slide into my DM right now. That's okay. We have Lady English on the line. Lady English, your mic is live, and she has a product of pimento oil, and she may want to weigh in on the conversation here. But your mic is live, Lady English. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Right, so I'm listening eagerly, do you know what I'm saying, hoping to learn more about the structure of hair and how it grows from the cellular level. As you mentioned, I make a product that is 98% Jamaican black castor oil, and it's got pimento in it. Pimento is allspice, and it's food grade, and basically the pimento stimulates the follicle, right, to grow the hair. So based on what you're saying, you know, the product that I'm marketing, it really can't do what I'm claiming it does, because you're saying that the hair cannot grow because of oil, right? Topically, it can only grow from the cellular level or internally. So for those companies, you know, all the hair companies and manufacturers that are marketing oils, Jamaican black castor oil, olive oil, rosemary. I mean, what do you say to people like us? I mean, you're saying that it doesn't grow your hair, but, you know, we have customers and we use the product and it grows hair. So you're saying it's not because of the oil, it's because of your genes or internally, whatever. You know, if you're nutritionally sound, then, you know, your hair has that fertile environment to grow regardless of whether you're using the oils or not.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, and I have some experience with palmetto and all the Jamaican black castor. And let me just say one thing. What the customer could be experiencing, because, of course, black castor is great antibacterial. It's great for antifungal. It's great for those things. And any prevailing issue that could be on the scalp could be remedied because of the oil. Okay. And of course, palmetto having anti-inflammatory properties as well. However, a hair loss, why the cell division would stop, or why is the hair skipping a phase, or why is it dormant, is not based on what's going on outside. By the time hair is what we call lost, there has already been a prevailing issue.
Right.
And so, and by the time, and any, and because scalp is probably the most important, we do say it grows hair, but before it grows hair, the scalp must be conducive to grow hair. So a lot of things are happening before the hair sprouts out, and that is what you want to deal with instead of trying to focus on the hair so much, because the hair is hydrophobic. It is designed to not absorb. It's designed to that's what protein is. Protein is not a soluble material. It's not a soluble biomaterial. But if the castor oil or palmetic oil or whatever is in the topical, if it is going to get rid of bacteria or a fungus can cause bad pHs, and bad pH could also serve as a reason why the immune system doesn't like something, so it'll attack itself. So, but I want to be very clear in terms of that the oil is not going inside of the follicle and creating a steroidic pumping switch turning on of the cellular generation again and making the hair sprout out. I want to be very clear that we have those two different thoughts.
Right. So in the natural hair care community, right, like over the past decade, the past 15 years, like everyone's turned away from chemically processing their hair. They're not relaxing their hair or doing the texturizing and jerry curls and stuff, right? So in like the people, African American black women, right, even African women, right, have grown really, really loads of hair, right, and they're all saying it's because of castor oil, or they're making formulas including clove oil, and, you know, people who typically have had short hair for the longest, right, you know, these oils are growing their hair. So what do you say to that? I mean, obviously, I can't say that people are not changing their internal balance, what they're eating or whatever, but some of those topical applications, those oils and essential oils, they do seem to help. They do seem to stimulate hair growth.
Right. I just want to make sure that help does not mean causation.
Right.
And Why can't it just be that they stopped relaxing? Why can't it be just stop? They did what took the hair out.
Yeah, that is true. That's true too. But
and
talking
the
about
system.
Yeah, I wanted to just probe you a minute about the bacteria and the fungus, like what would cause, because a couple of months ago, like my hair was gel down all summer and I was using this really strong gel, got to be, right? So I had it on my hair for 2 weeks while I was away. My hair, I didn't oil my hair, wash my hair, do anything. And then when I did wash my hair, most of it fell out, right? And then I went to the dermatologist and she prescribed some cream, I forget, it begins with K, right? And the liquid formula, because she said that I had seborrheic dermatitis. Yeah, right. So she gave me this stuff, right? So I used it for like 10 days, but my hair was just breaking out even more, so I just stopped using it. So is it the gel, or was there a condition existing on my scalp already that caused that? Because she said it's a fungal infection, right? So is it, because I use my own products, I use the castor oil, and I was using rice water. So is it something in the rice water or the castor oil that would have caused that to happen, or was it the chemicals in the gel?
Well, let me just say, when your wound healing process or your immune system is triggered, it triggers itself via an inflammatory reaction. Okay? That is why you start seeing or feeling a symptom, because your immune system is reacting. That is what a symptom is.
Makes sense.
So whatever could have been in the that your skin didn't like, you can just barely rub a leaf, right? Or let's just say poison ivy, right? You can just barely brush it, and then all of a sudden your immune system goes nuts. It's triggered, and then you have hives all over your body. But did the poison ivy go inside your skin? No. You are responding. You think that it's the thing out there, and it's actually your immune system reacting.
I see.
Right. And so when the seborrheic dermatitis, itis always means inflammation.
Yeah.
So, but it could be an environmental trigger. That's why your immune system is it plays the biggest part in your skin, because it's triggering, and it's sending all types of chemicals to deal with either the fungus, yeast, or something that is foreign. Right? And that's why it's important to keep your immune system healthy. Because if it's not, it'll hypo or hyper do something. Or it'll attack itself and then go into autoimmune.
Makes perfect sense.
Whatever you did different, okay, and whatever it didn't like, it just like it doesn't like. You could just run into, some hairspray, and then all of a sudden it goes through your lungs, and then your immune system go crazy, and then you'll say it's that. No, it's actually the trigger of the response that gives you that symptomatic feeling, and then it goes into sensations, and then your nose swells, and then the mucus comes. So we really have to make sure that, we're not actually going into damn near anaphylaxis. You're going into a response, and your body responds differently. And so when those responses stop and the inflammation stops and the body goes back into optimum health, that's when they say my hair grows. But they thought it was the thing that they were putting on it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that was enlightening. Thank you so much for your insight.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So I have to.
The body is a fascinating human machine. You know, it's designed to keep things out. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for the question.
Lady English, before you leave us, just give your website out in case someone wants to go there and check you out.
I don't want to now because it ain't gonna help. All right, so the website is fountainoil.com, and as I said, we make hair growth products mostly consisting. The base is Jamaican black castor oil. We also have a pain relief, traditional herbal pain relief that addresses inflammation in the knee, back, shoulder pain. It's a natural analgesic. It's called pimento oil, and you massage it into an area of pain. It's just a natural Bengay, basically. It doesn't have any chemicals in it, and it's formulated with the leaves, nutmeg, fever grass, all these different leaves fermented in olive oil and Jamaican black castor oil, and you massage it into the area of pain or discomfort, and it numbs the pain, basically, because pimento is a natural analgesic. So that's the signature product, and then after that it grew into hair products because people kept asking, what do the Jamaicans use for hair? What other traditional remedies there are? So it's fountain oil, if anyone's interested. Yeah, thank you.
Well, welcome to the Keys family, Lady English. We're going to keep it moving.
For having me. I'm
Absolutely.
glad I tuned in.
Thank you for hanging in there with us with our little technical difficulties earlier. We have a young lady in the chat room. I believe her name is Ladosha, and she says, I'm loving the show. I would like to ask Cheryl, what should cosmetologists be saying to our customers about the relaxers? Oh, wait, I meant to ask this one later because I know where you're going.
Hello?
Cheryl, you want to weigh in on that one now?
Oh, my goodness. Hey, Ladosha, what's happening?
Okay.
Yeah, can't wait to see you later on. What was the question now?
She wanted to know what should the cosmetologist be telling people about the relaxers.
That is a loaded question.
Yeah.
I tell people, relaxer is a service, and it depending on your texture and how often, just on how you want to. But I will say that regardless of the success, of who has success, who didn't have success, if it works for you, and find a professional, I think it's the cosmetologist, frankly, and their approach to it, and they do all the precautions to protect the comfort. I've never had a problem applying one, and I've had success with it. But I do think it is the cosmetologists have to step their game up and to make sure that they take every precaution. And to I'm never distracted with applying any chemical service. And I do think that particular cosmetologist needs to pay attention, make sure that that's the only thing they're doing, and they make good use of their time. And I think it's the professional. I don't necessarily think, and technique needs to be reevaluated, but that's the best answer I can give at the moment.
For now, because we know we're going to have another show where we just talk about that in the near future.
Right.
Okay, but we're going to put the brakes now because you and I could talk about the relaxers for quite a while. But also, Ladosha wants to know. Yes. Yeah, she wants to know how often do you, and what is the methodology of shampoo? And then she says that shampoo is called ketoconazole. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And she said she spoke to you about that at the Afro Hair Summit in Cleveland.
Yeah, right. We had a wonderful time at the Afro Hair Science Summit. keto, ketogenic. Make her describe that more. Keto. I know
she said
ketogenic
conazole. I'm gonna spell it KETOCONAZOLE.
Is that a steroid? Is that something that dermatologists?
She said the shampoo they prescribe for fungus.
Let me just say this. I know most of them, if they deal with fungus, those are usually pine, tar-based. I don't like tar-based because they are, extremely drying. But the ketoconazole is also an antibacterial, but they're very drying. And I don't know if you can get that even over the counter, in my guesstimation. Actually, I think you can. I know, too, that they're extremely drying, and I think that they're usually marketed to men. But, if you have severe inflammation, and because you're going to have inflammation and when you have fungus, and usually I do know that that's, rampant in the lock world. If you have locks, when you have lots of overlapping moisture, but they're saying that you can, massage it. In the last time I checked, but as long as you keep it at 2%, I think 2% is over the counter. I'm not, quite sure. I don't talk about the ketoconazole. I think it's CONAZOLE, but I think it's marketed to men. But it's very strong, too, so it could be drying. If that answers your question, LaDosha.
Well, she also says that we, meaning the hairstylists, struggle rather to tell them to keep using it or stop because it's a prescription. And she says, and she does confirm what Lady English was talking about, that shampoo is very, very drying, and there are some side effects.
Yeah, and side effects being brittle. You see, when you have an extreme contracting and tightening and drying, and let me just say this. I know that some hairstyles that I've even heard using it as a, what do they call it? Clarifying. They use it as a clarifying as well because of just like the prior caller. She said they have like a buildup in using gels and lots of oils. And since the natural hair care movement and the Y2K generation, like stemming from about 24 years ago, everything's about clarifying. Everything's about getting off what you put on. And so they go to ketoconazole and 2% of these anti-fungal, anti-inflammatory kind of shampoos, or I call them dandruff shampoos, and so they're tar-based. But with all the oils we use and leave-in conditioners, so the prior, you're going to have to load up on that stuff. But then, of course, if something is irritating you and you got a fungus, you don't want to put anything on your scalp. If you have a fungus, you have to keep a lot of air and make sure that you dry it as much as possible. I hope I answered the question.
So that leads to when is it too much? So if you're constantly putting stuff on top, and you don't know if this particular formula is good for your hair, you keep putting it back on. I mean, when is enough?
Well,
or too much.
Right. Well, that's a good point because anti-dandruff, antifungal is basically the same cosmetic over the counter. So, but they change it up slightly because they don't have a lot of active because if it says 2% ketoconazole, that's an active. And so you would think that they would probably, people are style. They're style-based. They'll do anything to put all that junk in for style. And then they'll worry about the, adverse effects later, and the consequences later. And then they go into it with this high power, Nizorol, or they'll go into with the and then they'll just go in there and then they'll complain about their hair is dry. And then they double down on the hard water. And then it's just, a never-ending cycle.
It's a cycle, yes.
Medicated shampoos are designed to get rid of everything. It's almost like chemo. They're going to kill everything. And then, of course, they'll say, well, where did they leave my natural oils? Well, then, at the end of the day, it's only one stage below a clarifying. So, and the culprit is not paying attention to your cosmetologist, not paying attention to what they say, and to know when's enough is enough, and to not sacrifice style for the nutrition, for the safety of your scalp, because this scalp is going to react. And when it starts kicking you out and giving you signs of an autoimmune, disorder, and it doesn't like it, you're going to get all forms of itis, regardless if it's cerebric or psoriasis or eczema. It's going to tell you that it doesn't like it. So.
Well, we have another question in the chat room. What about steaming? Is steaming good for your hair?
Not in my opinion. Only because you're using bad water. If you use, if you make sure that you use purified water, I don't know that the exposure to the water that long is helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I know most
so
people
it doesn't open up any pores any more than just a regular shampoo.
There's no holes in any surfaces. There's only expansion and contraction. There is no, when you see your little pores on your little skin and you're looking at your arm, that is not a direct. You got to break something. You got to break through the skin. You know what I mean? There is no direct hole. And let me just say, to be honest with you, when you say things like steaming, where do you want that water to go? I just like. Do you want that to go into your bloodstream or what? Now, permeation is different. Permeation, water will create what we call elasticity, and then it'll give you your fingertips some kind of sensation that it is more flexuous, you know what I mean, and bendable and lubricated, and and straight. But it's not. No, it's making steam is making the water obviously smaller molecule, but it's still not absorbed. And I know. And it's an experience. It's not nutrition. It's supposed to be just a spa experience. And if you start with good water, I think it should be just therapeutic. I don't know if it's medicinal.
So it makes you feel good,
Right.
We're gonna
wonderful.
We're gonna hold it there for a quick minute. We're gonna go back and check out our sponsors of tonight's show, The Fluff. They're on Cloud Cumulus tuning in, so we're going to listen to them for a quick minute. We come back. I have that surprise caller that I mentioned on Facebook for you, so just hold tight, everybody. We'll be right back.
The Fluff are a family of clouds up in the sky, keeping the earth, and so you will be alright. They'll teach you your ABCs and your A's, U's, and P's. Fluff are head to toe,
Presents the Alphabet is available on Amazon.com and on Kindle. So get your copy today. For more information, go to www.thefluffamily.com.
Now back to the Keys 107.
Yes, and we're going to go right into that caller. Vivian, your mic is live. Check in.
Hi there.
Vivian, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound very small. So speak up.
Okay. Let me try to get my volume up. I've got my.
I can hear you.
You're trying to help me. How's that? Is that better?
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So when we were speaking earlier, Vivian, you was telling us about your botanicals and your farming and how you transitioned from one entity, and that's the entity that I wanted you to speak to Cheryl about, which is going to, like, knock her socks off.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, Cheryl, first of all, I was sad to learn about the passing of your father.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Morrow, because I had called him one day years ago, and he helped me to formulate some products for my company, which at the time was Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing. And
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And I still have jars and jars of the product, that sample jars with his picture on it. I didn't know he had passed, and I really regret not having followed my first thought, which was to drive to come to San Diego again. The first time I came, we drove from Scottsdale and visited his place with the museum and all of it. Was just wonderful. That's all I can say. It's an honor to know you are still lifting up your father, and you sound like him in the sense that you have that type of high intelligence and scientific knowledge. I consider him one of the greats. And his science, the science that he had, I was telling them, he was like an inventor. I mean, his mind was just amazing. And so I'm really fascinated with all the things that you're talking about now. I had entered into farming after we sold the trademark of our company, and since that time, even when I was selling hair care products, I understood kind of the basis of what you're saying, which, as I absorb what you're saying, is essentially that, hair growing is more of an internal process than any external application, and that there are things we can do for our scalp and our hair that can facilitate hair growth, but it is largely a matter of health. And so when I got to growing vegetables and all that, we are just now in the process of opening a health and beauty bodega that will focus and has been focusing mainly on the truth, which is that health is beauty. And and so I'm really just fascinated, and it's an honor to even hear you talking, because I really do think that your father was one of the unsung heroes of the health and beauty aids industry.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, he was wonderful.
Yeah, I remember you. I remember him telling you. I just remember him telling me that you guys had come. I was here, I think. I think I was. Could have been off doing something else, but he was so excited, and he had such a great time with you guys. And that is what brilliant people do. They share ideas with other brilliant people. And he was excited to talk with you guys and to work with you guys. I would love actually to have those jars back.
I will of them as you want. I was telling them literally, I washed my hair this morning and put the product that your father made on my hair.
That's too cute. That's too cute.
So that means it had a shelf life, right? So if you're saying that you had this product years and years ago, and you opened it today and used it, there's a shelf life, right?
Yeah. Well, whether or not it could be sold, but I use it. Because it has his image on it, Dr. Morrow, but it also has Madam Walker's image on it. We're not allowed to sell it because, we no longer own that trademark, but I keep it and use it, and we felt like the product was really wonderful, what he put together for us. He was just really brilliant on so many levels, and you sound just like him talking. But
thank you. That's a compliment because most people, and I try to slow down and explain it. But again, what you're opening up needs to be shared. I am also endeavoring in that, and I would love to know what your business model is, so maybe we could franchise it and actually duplicate it. Because, unfortunately, I believe the Black Beauty Supply has another 50 years to lead. I think if we change the business model, but a beauty bodega sounds absolutely 21st century. And I'm doing cosmetic couture where you can actually come in and we make it for you right there. And so I think that brilliant people need to come together and do some other things and lead in the beauty supply. I believe that Black beauty supply owners and entrepreneurs were sold, I wouldn't say snake oil, but I would say, it's not just about Black ownership. You have to have some brilliant Black ideas and cater to your customers with fresh, wonderful, new things. Not just to open up something and sell what everybody's doing in Walmart and Target and Koreans. You know what I mean? It's just the old way of doing things, and to offer something very beautiful and to cross-market and cross-pollinate, vegetables and herbs and botanicals with beauty is to me 21st century.
Yes, I agree. I just think that, it's weird because as I was selling products, I always found myself talking more about health and food and nutrients than I did anything else because, I understood very well that it was more about what goes in us than what we apply on top of our skin or our hair. And so it seemed it was a natural segue for us to go into. We were already farming, but to scale it up, and it was hard. The reason we even came up with the whole health and beauty thing was because, number one, having a background in hair care, they call it the health and beauty aids industry, but we never really talked about the health part. Everything was about these beauty aids, and I always lamented over the fact that, we're never talking about health, and most of the things that we were doing were really kind of, in some instances, not all, detrimental to the health, or not really the health of the hair and the health of the skin. So I think that when I segued into farming full time, it just always kind of followed me, this whole concept of the relationship between health and beauty. And then it became a challenge because trying to get people to eat healthy so they don't have high blood pressure and diabetes is just not really sexy, right? So, but when you
I think that Right. We forget the component that if we don't do that, then we get under medications that have hair loss and have thinning as indications through the medicine. And then, of course, and so we're not just saying keep yourself healthy and then it's automatic. What we're saying is that keep yourself healthy because the medicines are going to get you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's just a missing component. And you know my dad was a farmer, so Mr. Morrow was a straight-up farmer. And he would be, and I know, he would be so damn proud and saying, there you go. That's the difference. That's where the intelligence, that's where the intelligence, because because we were coming up with some of the most expensive shea butters in the world. So we're going to be mixing all of these things special for people who just come in and want to do something personal. And and Mr. Morrow's version is obviously the most expensive one because we have integrated the collards. Mr. Morrow was, he bragged about this city because he loved to make wine for all the people here in San Diego. He loved making wine. And he always regarded Mother Nature as the greatest scientist in the universe. And if you listen and learn from her, she will teach you incredible skills. And, I guess you're the farmer in the family now.
Well, you made my day. You made my day just by saying that. And he just really impacted us a great deal, and I admired him greatly. He had vision and foresight, and it just he had one of those lines that just seemed like it never stopped,
It did.
And
it did.
Right. And so
what he didn't finish was ginger shampoo. So I'm just going to tell you he didn't get to finish.
Oh my God. Well, I will be excited to know what you're doing with that, and any way that we can coordinate and coordinate our efforts, I would love to do so, because I really think that there's a need for it, even beyond just I think you've hit on it already very eloquently about how marketing is just that. And we've kind of lost the soul of what this is really all about. And I, really wanting to get back to the truth and the science of how things really work instead of just, finding new. It was carrot oil, and before that, it was another kind of oil.
I remember the carrot oil craze.
Yeah, and it just keeps, and they just keep bombarding us with all these new marketing, and we're never really getting down to the nitty gritty, which really goes back to the earth. And you're right, she's the best teacher, and I've learned so many lessons from just digging my hands in soil. And so I'm really excited about your work and continuing your father's legacy in your own way. It really excites me. I was sad to hear that he had passed, mainly regretful that I didn't follow my own intuition and push and my own ideas and get to San Diego one more time. I literally do that, and this morning I was when I found out that you were going to be on the show, and I said, "Are you talking about?" And she said your name, Morrow, and I said, "Oh my God, please tell me this is Willie Morrow's daughter." But it's
absolutely. This is coming through full circle, and I promised Mr. Morrow that I would do, we would do, and I would push not just myself and you already got his energy, but like he said, if we can't do what we've already, what they've given us everything.
Yeah.
We really have to to step it up and, make sure that they say, the first generation makes it, second generation spends it, and the third generation destroys it. We got to make sure that we do things differently. And so, and we are here all on the phone, and you can call me anytime. Thank you, my sister Rafika. I love you dearly, sister, for making it happen. I appreciate that.
Well, we have to give a special shout out to Carmen Camila Abdullah Muhammad, who connected Vivian and I earlier today, and we've been on the phone just chopping it up about it, and I really had like 100 questions for her about, the botanicals. And again, my thing is there are so many people who have bought into, well, all I have to do is mix these oils that I search on the internet, and the internet says this is good for this and this is good for that, and let me just mix them up, put some flowers in it, put a nice fancy label, or not a fancy label, but put a label on it, and put it out on the market, and then people should experience some, amazing growth. And that's not the case, because I know there has to be other things involved.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why beauty is what they call an eco-indicator. It's an indicator of how all of the homeostasis of the human anatomy is working together. Therefore, that's the beauty of it. That's the point. Mm-hmm. And so your body gives you beauty once you take care of it, and it's in perfect balance. And it may not just be perfect all the time, and it may fluctuate. But beauty is there to let you know what you're doing right or what you're doing wrong to yourself.
Absolutely.
And because you're not inside yourself, you have it as a feeling. But usually, even in my work in New York, in just working with forensic pathologists, sometimes they didn't know what, but sometimes they would call me in, because when you look at a person, they begin to change. And that is why you can tell when people are sick, because their beauty changes. Their thinner, their skin, they start looking different, because the zenith of homeostasis is beauty. It's the right weight, the skin is vibrant. What'd you say?
I said, can I steal that quote? The beauty of homeostasis is, now see, I've just forgotten how you said it.
When the body is in perfect balance in homeostasis, that's the beauty of it. When they say, and the beauty of it is, that's the point. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Your eyes are vibrant, your eyes are white, you're bright, you feel good. That's the body saying thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So I think one of the takeaways that our listening audience can take away is that if you're doing all of the things that you think you should be doing, washing your hair and conditioning it and moisturizing it, and it's still shedding, then look into internally, because there's most likely a bigger issue happening. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, and because now you have to remember, one of the reasons why, let's just say, and I don't like to use this example a lot of times, but I will use it. Let's just say you go into trauma, the body goes into trauma, or it's fighting an infection, or obviously it goes into inflammation, then you get hot, you get a fever, and then you get influenza, or you get COVID, or something foreign, right? Let's just say you blow out all of your cells during the chemo process, right? Well, at that point, the body discriminates. It says, okay, all systems low. Well, what do you think it sacrifices?
Hair.
The least thing that you need for recovery, the least thing you need to get back, because it will not forsake your heart for your hair. See, the body is very discriminating, okay? So, but it's also, if it's the if it's being sacrificed, you have to wait till the immune system starts putting things back in order, and it says, okay, your lungs are fine, your spleen is fine, your kidneys are fine, your liver is fine, your lungs are fine, your heart is fine, your brain. Okay. All right, well, let's start giving them some hair. Okay? And then it picks the order. And then that's why the last thing to come back, and then once it gets back into some homeostasis, right? And once it goes into that, that is when you start seeing the components and the results of the beauty returning. You feel better, you feel like, and that's when it starts going into its discriminative process. It does not give you something that you don't need. And that is why when you do have it, that is why beauty is so coveted, because it is the crowning glory. It's the last thing to let you know that everything in all systems are okay. And so, and it starts taking it away because you don't need it, and that's why you have to look internal. And that's one of the reasons why consultations are so important, because usually your hairstylist should be able to find it, and then they'll call and recommend and then get you an appointment and tell you that you should, go either to a dermatologist or a gynecologist. Because a gynecologist actually is more helpful, in my opinion, because it is the only pill, the only vitamin, the only nutrition, it's the only mineral, it's the only pill that is supposed to work. Prenatal pills actually are the healthiest vitamins in the world because they're the only ones that are governed by the FDA. Prenatal pills are nutrition, and they're supposed to be very high in trace minerals and things of that nature. Any other subsequent vitamin is in GNC or Walmart or any other store. They're not really regulated. But anyway, but the point is that it's to get the body back into homeostasis, and so the endocannabinoid system in which we teach is also should be looked at when you're having a lot of inflammation. But I digress. I'm sorry.
So the conversation about inflammation, how do you know when inflammation is the issue with the condition of your hair? Like if it's shedding, if it's balding, what is the sign that there's an inflammation problem?
Well, by this time, I'm not talking about the external inflammation. I'm talking about it could be inflammation of the adrenals. It can be inflammation causing hypo or hyperthyroid issues, or and then interference with most medications. Who have, it's a plethora, and that's why you have to talk about it so we can make that process of elimination. That's all doctors do. And then they say, let's take a blood test that helps them figure it out. You know what I mean? Because they have this whole list, right, about numbers. Okay, so your hemoglobin is supposed to be at here, and your iron is supposed to be here, and your vitamin D is supposed to be there. If they didn't have that number chart, but damn, well, what if you have, certain women from different parts of the country or different parts of the world? Maybe their diet says that they need to have, and of course that's a whole other bucket of worms, but the inflammation that usually has the really bad effects by the time your hair is affected and that cell production is shutting down or it's getting weird, it is probably an inflammation internal. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
Yeah.
I need to tell you, we're going to have to put a pin in it because we do have 2 more sections to cover. Definitely we're going to go into that conversation about relaxers because, again, that's another hot topic, and as you and I spoke about how it's going to impact the professional black hair care community and even the consumers. So we're going to talk about that in our next show. Vivian and Cheryl, is it okay if I share your number with Cheryl, Vivian?
Absolutely.
Okay, good enough. So I will send that to you right now in a text before I forget. And I just want to thank everybody. I know there's about 2 people who have texted me. One I text and asked them if they have a question. And if they do, this is the best time to come on and ask that question. Otherwise, hold your peace. And your mic is live, so you can come on in.
I guess they decided not to.
I guess they're shy. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll
get you. We'll get you next time.
Yes, absolutely. I thank everybody for being so patient with us. We have been on a hiatus for about 4 years with the Keys 107. I had to finish up my doctorate, which I did, and that's why it's now Dr. Rafika. And then other things kept coming up, but it's really wonderful to be able to open up this platform once again to deal into those 7 keys of life. And that's about it. I want to let you know that on November 30th, Joseph B. Washington is coming back on the keys, and he is the Let Average Go motivational speaker. He has a movement now called the Average Breaker Movement, and he's going to come on and talk to us about that and how that ties into his 7-key program on reprogramming your mind so that you stop thinking that you're average, because there is nothing average about you. So that's November 30th. And Cheryl, do you have any closing statements?
Well, I just want to just thank everybody for tuning in, and it's always wonderful to have a conversation with the beauty community and beauty entrepreneurs, and that have their own products and things. That this is the gift that keeps on giving. This is the most incredible, loving, golden industry. As you know, I wonder if it was Joe Dudley. This is the only industry you can go from zero to hero in a matter of 6 months. And this industry was designed to enrich our people. And we should be leading in every demographic. And let's just change it. And if we don't like it, whatever we don't like, let's change it. Let's solve it. But by all means, respect what the treasures that lie before us. We're all heirs of this great industry, and so and I am committed and dedicated to improving it and making it once the golden reef that it once was.
Well, I thank you as always, and I look forward to our continuing conversation. And Vivian and all the other callers, Charlene and Lady English, thank you so much. And Leah, thank you so much for tuning in, and all of those who are listening online. And we won't be back next Thursday, but we'll be back on the 30th, and then after that we'll continue with our every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time conversation. And as we are going to keep in with our tradition of playing some music as we close, you're going to be very pleased to listen to the music of South Africa's Pride and Joy, Ernie J. Smith, and he's playing this song called Wentworth that he wrote for his mother, and we're going to play that right after we close. So when you hear the closing, don't leave, hang in there, because you want to hear that song. Good night, everybody, and thanks again.
It's time to go. Thanks for tuning in. Connect with us on social media at The Keys 107 or email comments, questions, or just say hi at thekeys107network.com. And don't forget to share and tell all your friends about The Keys 107. Help is on the way.
And that email address is suggestions at thekeys107network.com. Cheryl and Vivian, can you hold the line?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I made a mistake. I'm playing Lonely. Okay.
Not necessarily reflect the views of the producers and owners of this digital platform.
Hey college-bound students, our SUNY students have a message for you.
You belong.
You belong. You belong at SUNY.
Join us at one of SUNY's 64 colleges and universities, including top-ranked public research universities, award-winning regional colleges, hands-on tech schools, and welcoming community colleges. You'll find vibrant and supportive campus communities committed to your success. And at SUNY, financial aid and scholarships plus low tuition help you keep college affordable. You belong at SUNY. Visit suny.edu/go.
At Arizona State University, we're committed to our students' success. That's why we've designed our online courses to utilize adaptive technology for enhanced learning. Explore more than 300 programs online from the nation's most innovative university. Visit asuonline.asu.edu.